Tonight's episode of the Sunday Night Talk is here. It's special. It's week 9 in the NFL, and there is much to discuss. Great games, a couple great marquee games as well, not to mention a Raiders win. We're going to talk about it. But before we do, if you're new to the YouTube channel, and I know some of you are, subscribe to it. Click the little tab, click the thumbs up. We picked up some new subscribers this week, so welcome everyone. This is the show for you. Not to mention, all my shows are up here on the channel. So if you want to see my stand-up comedy, it's here. If you want to see my movie series, it's here. So check it out. Previous weeks of the Sunday Night Talk are there as well. So let's talk about the show tonight. It's a special one. This is my last week in the Central Time Zone, and I am flying solo on this week's pod. And what a great week to do it, because I can talk Raiders win. I can talk a marquee Dallas-Philadelphia game, a game in which I was 100% in the Dak camp. I'd never been before, and I thought the guy played amazing. Not to mention some games that I thought were going to be bad, ended up being good. Surprises. We got a new head coach in Vegas. We got new quarterbacks on teams. And, of course, the Sunday night game. A couple themes in my opening as well. You'll hear it all right here. It is the Sunday Night Talk for week 9. Here we go. All right, it is Sunday. It is 10:29 p.m. Central Time. It is my last week in the Central Time Zone. I am here. I am solo this week. It's all me. It's just Pat Ramirez here on the Sunday Night Talk. But have no fear. I watched all the games. I have a lot of thoughts. The Sunday night game just wrapped up, and we're going to talk about that. But, let's talk week 9. To start in the NFL. We are officially on the other side of the season, meaning we have played half the season, and now we play today week 9, 17-week season. And what I noticed this week was that we had penalties affect a lot of games today. No penalty really decided the game by one penalty. However, a lot of penalties were called in games in general that I saw today. Not to mention, the trade deadline was this week. It was October 31st. So some teams were scrambling. Some teams looked a little different than they did last week. We saw it with Minnesota. We certainly saw it with Las Vegas. And there's changes in the NFL now, and we are going to see a shift somewhere in the league where a team that we thought was dead is going to have life. I think there's a little bit of Jets talk. Now, the Jets didn't play today. They play tomorrow. Miami lost today. New England lost today. The Jets, who we wrote off as dead, might have a chance to get into this division. Keeping going with thoughts on week 9, there were 3 games on the schedule today that I thought were completely skippable. Go do something else. Go rake the leaves. Go to the movies. Go wash your car. Ended up being some of the 3 best games of the week, of the season, almost, you can say. There was intrigue. There was excitement to them. They were all decided on the final drive as well. And then lastly, week 9, question marks. There are some teams that have serious question marks that did not perform today. And I'm left wondering why. I'm left wondering what is going on with this team in general and what does the future look like. So it's week 9. Buckle up, everybody, because I am going to handle this all on my own. But we're still going to do all the topics. We're still going to do all the games. And we're going to do the awards too. So don't forget that. So let's start with the Sunday night game, which just wrapped up. Bills at Cincinnati. Think about where we started here. A few weeks ago, Joe Burrow was injured or looked injured, was not himself. Cincinnati looked damaged. Buffalo also, I think, has had question marks, although they've played really, really well. Josh Allen put the team on his back at some point today. And these two teams go head to head in a great marquee Sunday game. We haven't had a great marquee Sunday game in a while. And it starts off really, really well. And then somewhere along the lines, Buffalo runs out of steam. That being said, Cincinnati made all the plays necessary to win. I got a little nervous when they called their final timeout, and I think it was still the third quarter. But let's start from the beginning. Sunday night, the game is starting, not to mention the time changed here, so it's dark early. Everybody seems a little more tired than they were last week, but NBC starts with a Damar Hamlin tribute, as we know. Last year when these two teams met, that was the game that he collapsed on the field. EMTs, sideline workers, saved him. It was a big story. And they did this tribute to him, which I liked. Very worthy, especially those people who saved him on the field. My question is, what is going on with Damar Hamlin, though? He's played in one game this year, and he is inactive. He's become a bit of a philanthropist for the Bills and this practice of CPR and first responding. It's really, really nice. But my question is, are we ever going to get an answer to what exactly happened to this young man, athlete, in shape, prime of his life, person on the field? I don't think we will. And I'm wondering if the NFL is keeping this story alive in the positive sense to steer from the obvious questions of Damar Hamlin. That being said, the tribute was nice, and there is video going around on YouTube. I think it's from a fan's cell phone of the EMTs responding and all the players' reaction to it, and it is extremely dramatic, and you just see the weight of what could have happened on the field there. So I love the tribute. It is always a little difficult when you start with a tribute, because it puts you in a somber mood, and then you have to play this game. You're supposed to get excited to watch this game, but it puts everything in perspective. We haven't even played the game yet. So the game is rolling. Side note, I thought Cincinnati's orange socks really stood out. In a world where we have a million different uniforms, I like the orange socks. Orange and black. I mean, it was Halloween this week, so keep the orange up. That was great. Okay, the game starts, and we have back-to-back touchdown drives by each offense. And I should have known something was going to be up with the Buffalo Bills defense when Josh Allen runs in for the first TD, and he gets called for the taunting penalty, which was him pointing to a defender that he faked out with a fake pass, and he runs in. I just don't know how far we go with these penalties. I watched several NFL games today where there was a kickoff, and the receiving team would fair catch it at the 8, pretty close to the side, to the end zone, and if you fair catch a kickoff, you get the ball in the 25. I don't know how much more we can neuter the game. We have done so much with the kickoff to make it safer, to make it advantageous to call a touchback, to get a touchback. And then we have these taunting calls that I don't even know what constitutes taunting either. Is pointing taunting? I am still of the belief as soon as you put your hands on someone, that is a penalty. But whatever happened to sticks and stones? I don't feel like any of these are bad, and they can potentially cost a player the game. As they said, that was Josh Allen's first taunting penalty, which if you get 2 in the NFL, you are kicked out of the game, much like a technical foul to it. So taunting penalty, we should have known something was in the works there. Halfway through the game, this, oddly, I found the most interesting part of the game. Josh Allen is called for a intentional grounding penalty, throws it over the receiver's head about 10 yards, and Chris Collinsworth gets very animated. The NBC officials representative explains the call, and Chris Collinsworth gives I know, but let me tell you what happened here. That's an option route. He went short. Josh Allen threw it long. And here's the funny part. The NBC official affiliate goes back and explains the rule again. And Collinsworth goes back again. He goes, Jerry, I know, but here's the deal. Here's the deal what's going on here. The intentional grounding call is weird. It's weird that Collinsworth got so animated about it. It didn't have a big significance on anything, but I found that really interesting that more penalties were called this week than I think any other week. I haven't seen the number yet, but it played a big role in stopping drives in the middle of this game. Also, the other thing NBC did that was interesting, I've never seen them do this before. Buffalo has the ball, they're on offense, and they put a picture-in-picture in the corner of the screen of Joe Burrow on the bench, and you just kind of see his reaction to it. I don't know what the significance was. I don't know why they did it, but I liked it. I like to see how these players are reacting to the other plays in real time. Buffalo runs out of offense in the second half. There is one drive where Buffalo is threatening. I believe they were down 10-17 at the time. They're threatening. They're over the 50. Josh Allen throws a pass to their tight end. He gets upended and he fumbles inside the 20. And to me, that was the biggest momentum shift to it. Big momentum shift because Cincinnati gets the ball. They get a field goal. They go up 24-10. So it was 21-10 at the time, making it 2-touchdown game at this point. And now we get Buffalo's essentially their last shot offensively. The Bills have a drive starting with 7 minutes left. They get a touchdown pass to Stephon Diggs in this play. They go for 2. They get it. It's 18-24. And now they have to go on defense and hope to stop them. They had 2 timeouts left. Cincinnati gets the ball. There's 3 minutes, 30 seconds left in the game, and the very first play from scrimmage is a 32-yard pass from Burrow. So 2-yard run following that. And then we come to the timeout. Buffalo takes their final one. 3rd and 3. Play of the game. It's a run off the right side. They get it. Game over. A bit of a question mark. The Buffalo player was calling for a hold on the end of it. Didn't get the call. But Cincinnati put this one to bed like a championship team would. Methodical drive, run out the clock, no mistakes despite they didn't have any timeouts. Burrow is back, and he looks really feisty out there. He's really calling a lot of plays at the line. He's calling for a lot of changes at the line, and I'm really threatened by them. If I'm going up against them, they're at home. Buffalo, I think we've come to the realization that Josh Allen is almost this entire team. Question marks on defense. But that being said, I think that fumble, shifting the momentum, was the play of the game. If Buffalo goes in there, it's going to be 21-17. The pressure is on Cincinnati. And at that point, the game is still in the balance. So, great game. Cincinnati, their stock has risen so much since week 3 when we wrote them off. I think I did too on this very show. And Buffalo in a division with Miami, Jets. It is essentially up for grabs now. New England not going to be a threat. This is slowly becoming the most exciting division, the AFC East. So, things to keep an eye there. Let's go to all the games that happened today. Like I said, we're flying solo today. I watched most of these games solo as well. And starting with one of the games I talked about at the opening that I thought was a terrible game on paper. And I'm following the score of it. This is Minnesota at Atlanta. Minnesota winning 31-28. The Kirk Cousins injury the week previous, they bring in Josh Dobbs. They don't start him. They start their own rookie to it. He gets injured. Josh Dobbs comes in. So already have 2 quarterbacks who have played for Minnesota. But also Atlanta has a new quarterback now. Taylor Heineke is in for Atlanta. So we have a fun game, and 31-28. This is not a defensive struggle. And Dobbs throws a winning touchdown pass. Not only did he throw a winning touchdown pass, I want to give you Dobbs' line score. 20 for 30, 158 yards, 2 touchdowns. He even got sacked for a safety. I don't know what award we can give for the week, but Dobbs deserves something. He's resilient. He just goes where's needed. And he got Minnesota a real win. And I was really happy for the guy. It's really impressive And I'm glad I got to catch some of this game because it was awesome to see someone come in on such short notice like Josh Dobbs. And I love the hug at the end from Kevin McConnell, the Minnesota head coach of Dobbs. Curious to see what the rest of Minnesota season is going to be like. On the flip side, Atlanta, I think we know they've been a bit of a mess all year. That being said, they play fun games. And the NFL is just competitive. Just every team is going to go hard. I haven't seen any signs of tanking, even though I called for it for my own team. The NFL is competitive. These guys want to win. They want to compete. Next game, Arizona at Cleveland. All right, let's flip the script here. Cleveland 27-0. This is a defeated Arizona team. I made the joke that, yeah, they're 1-6, but they really play like they're 2-5. They give an effort. Arizona may be the worst team in the league. It's not from effort. It's from a lack of players. It's from trading away their players. And we're going to hold this Kyler Murray thing over their head for I don't know how long. I don't know when he's coming back. I don't know. He knows when he's coming back. We don't even know if he wants to come back. On the flip side, Cleveland. Arizona is a great win that they can get on a rhythm again. They can use this as a launching pad. They're 5-3. Easy win for them. And Deshaun actually played. Deshaun Watson, the other quarterback, weren't sure if he was coming back or not. He doesn't even seem injured. He's just on the sideline, cheering people on, wearing a full-on ninja face mask. Deshaun is in here. Cleveland gets the win. They are now in the driver's seat. They always were. They always controlled their own destiny. But for some reason, I feel like this is a win and a half. And since they won easily, no injuries, and they can just be full steam ahead next week. All right, I talked about games that were actually really, really competitive, fun games. However, one was not a fun, competitive game. LA Rams go to Green Bay. Green Bay wins 20-3. Already a weird score of this game. It's low scoring. We have no Matt Stafford for the LA Rams. We have their backup, Ripon, who had, by the third quarter, 7 completions. That's not an NFL offense. That's not even a D2 college offense. So my question here, Green Bay is not good, and they weren't good in this game particularly. They were slow for 2.5 quarters. But what happened to Sean McVay and these Rams? This is not a team that's that far removed from winning the Super Bowl. And they got Cooper Kupp back a few weeks ago. They had the new rookie slot receiver that was playing really well. But they have not performed. They don't look good. And how did this fall apart so hard for the Rams and Sean McVay? We went from offensive genius, the new coach of the NFL, the new mindset of the NFL, to a team that loses to Green Bay. Jordan Love is not good. And the Rams had 0 offense. I don't know where the fingers pointed. It doesn't seem like McVay gets a ton of criticism in the media, but the Rams have underperformed terribly this year. I know they're injured. I know they had their second stringer in there, but 3 points to Green Bay. Rams, I have questions. Another game, Washington at New England, 20-17. Washington wins. New England, it's just getting bad. I think it's just going to be a rough season. There's such a term as winning ugly. I think New England loses ugly every week. Surprisingly competitive game. Mac was decent. For someone who is touted as not being a good quarterback, his stat line is 24 for 44. He's throwing the ball 44 times. And he was on a drive, that last interception. It was a tip ball. And it gets intercepted. Not his fault. They could have won this game, but they also could have very easily lose this game, which they did. And it makes me think there's one thing I want to blame this loss on. New England, you won the week before because you wore silver pants. You went with blue this week. You have only yourself to blame. That's all I'm going to say. Chicago at New Orleans. We saw how bad Chicago was last Sunday night. They go to New Orleans. We still don't know if New Orleans is good or not. The Derek Carr, Taysom Hill project is still in the works. That being said, New Orleans wanted to let Chicago tie this game, not on one, not on two, but on three separate occasions. New Orleans missed a field goal, punted the ball away. I think they even turned it over one time, and Chicago could do nothing with it. Interesting thing about this is the announcers calling this game, I think we must have spent a collective 17 minutes talking about Justin Fields. When is he coming back? How is he handling this injury? Is he still involved with the team? Which makes me think, like, we really want Fields to play out this career, play out at least another season, see if this man is good or not. I haven't seen any evidence of it from Fields being good. So Fields is a topic of conversation, even in a game that he's not playing as well. Two surprises I had in this game. I had no idea Matt Ryan, former player, had become an announcer. I didn't recognize his voice. They showed him in the booth a few times. And I was like, when did this happen? And it could be no other place than CBS. I could never see Matt Ryan calling a Fox game. So I think he fits in good there. Knowing CBS, they might have him on the panel in no time. Hey, why not make it 7 people on that panel? Second observation. The Chicago coach, which I finally figured out, his last name is Eberflus. It's taken me 9 weeks to figure this out. He looks like an old crusty dean of like a college movie. He always looks flustered. His hair is messed up. He looks old as well. I don't know where he came from. I still don't know this. But he inherited just a mess of a team. There's little bright spots on the defense for Chicago every now and again, but their offense is a complete mess, and it makes me wonder how they beat the Raiders 2 weeks ago. But I don't want to go back in time. Lastly, here's my thought on Taysom Hill for New Orleans. This is probably going on year 4 or 5. He's 33 years old. I don't think we're ever going to figure him out. I don't think New Orleans is ever going to figure out how to use him. He runs well. He can catch the ball in a slot. He can throw a pass, which he threw a touchdown pass today. I don't know if he's underutilized or overutilized. I think he's just playing a position that only he can play, and the NFL doesn't know what to do with it. New Orleans 24, Chicago 17. Next game. Put this one on your list of games. I think I'm going to skip this one. And if you did that, if you skipped Tampa Bay Houston, you might have missed the best game of the day. I called it the go wash your car game. However, the last 8 minutes of this game were phenomenal. Baker Mayfield on his last offensive drive is slinging the ball. He's running. He got a critical first down after taking a sack, and he throws the pass, the perfect tight end where the linebacker has their back turned in the end zone. And that leaves CJ Stroud to give it one last drive. Now, at this point, nothing is expected of Stroud. We know his talent. We know he's raw. We know he's got all the goods for something potentially down the road. But we don't expect anything out of him now. CJ Stroud has, I think, the best drive of the day. There were some passes in there that he dropped in the bucket. The receiver was able to get their 2 feet down and then jump out of bounds to save the time. And in the final touchdown pass, the rollout to the receiver, he looked like a pro. I don't know if we can blame Tampa Bay, but he was awesome. And this puts Houston at 4-4. And I'm wondering if they can make a threat in the late season. I'm wondering if this is the team that makes a threat, like last year, Jacksonville Jaguars, the run they made, the Detroit Lions, the run they made. I'm rooting for this. I am no longer thinking that this is the foundation year for the Houston Texans and CJ Stroud, because he looked like someone who'd been in the league 3 or 4 years. Houston wins 39-37. All right. As you know, I have been on the Raiders bandwagon through this very thin season. This week, the Raiders, 30. The New York Giants 6. This was the big win. This was the more than actual one-score win. This was the get up early on the team win. But let's backtrack. Earlier in the week, after the horrendous Monday night loss to the Detroit Lions, the Raiders fire their head coach, Josh McDaniels. Apparently at 10 p.m. West Coast time, they fire him. They give the head coaching job to Antonio Pierce, his first head coaching job ever. He's the interim. They fired the GM as well. So, big changes, total shakeup. The Raiders have not had a great season. They have underperformed. They lost to the Bears team I just talked about that had zero offense with their Division II quarterback, who, by the way, had 3 chances. I mentioned New Orleans gave him the 3 chances. He threw a pick. He threw on one drive. He had a drive that was where passes were supposed to be picked 3 times. They were dropped, and the third one it was picked. This Raiders team lost to that guy. They lost him. They got humbled to him. They've got the Giants at home. Daniel Jones trips twice and then goes out of the game. Very Kirk Cousins-like, where it's a non-contact type of injury, and he goes into the locker room, does not return, and we get Tommy DeVito is back. 3 attempts in a single half, Tommy DeVito goes in. So if the stars were ever aligned for a big Raiders win, this is it. I think they were up 24-0 at one point, which flirting with a shutout for any Raiders team is already extremely rare. And they're doing it. They got a pick. The offense is working. They're running the ball well. Jimmy G got benched. I talk about new coach, new GM. They benched Jimmy G in the middle of the week. Just bench him. This was McDaniels' guy. They bench him for the rookie, Aiden O'Connell, and he plays great. Josh Jacobs played great as well. And we're watching the Giants head coach on the sideline, Brian Daboll, and it just looks like we're watching a man get an ulcer. He's getting flushed in the face. He's doing the angry coach walk where he's stepping. He's clutching his radio all the time. It's difficult to watch some of these coaches because you can see the stress on their face. And then my last point is back to Josh McDaniels and the firing. If you're Josh McDaniels, how embarrassing is this? You're fired, and your team without you scores 30 points. This is a team that you coached that could not get to 20 points this season. You could not get 20 points. You're this offensive mind, this offensive guru. You could not get to 20 points. The defense bailed us out of the only wins we had. And I don't think the offense had the capability to do anything under Josh McDaniels. I've watched every single Raider game, and I would say there's bright spots, but they were not good enough to beat any good team. They could beat the Packers. They could beat the Broncos, but if you let them in that Detroit game, they were not going to catch up to you. They were not going to tie that game. The Detroit game, they couldn't run, pass, or anything, and their defense was getting run on all over the place too. So the defense did not even show up for that game. And then they go back home, new coach, 30-6. I'm not going to go as far as to say that they're back in the race, but this was a good start. And I remember last time when we had an interim head coach and we went to the playoffs as a wild card spot. Let's not get too crazy, though. I'm sorry. I'll cut myself off. I'll cut it off there. Raiders get the win. I'm going to skip one game because I didn't watch it, but I was aware of it. This game was Indianapolis, and I don't even see it on my sheet here. Indianapolis played. Who did they play? It's difficult because I don't even think we know who Indianapolis' quarterback is a lot of times. We're not too crazy about Indianapolis. All I know is that they are going to, they're the, I think, Germany game next week. By the way, I woke up early and watched the Germany game this week, and it's finally was a good game. We finally have a marquee matchup game overseas that's worth waking up early for. And the crowd is great. But I did see one fan in the stands that was wearing a hat of the Chiefs, but also a shirt of the Dolphins. So I'm not sure they fully grasp the concept yet. The other game I'm talking about is Indianapolis at Carolina, 27-13. Indianapolis wins. I don't think either of these teams are going to make a run at anything. However, Carolina and their quarterback, if we compare him with C.J. Stroud, far and away better is C.J. Stroud. And I don't think you can say the coaching is better. They got more weapons on offense. He's just raw. Carolina quarterback is raw right now. Indianapolis gets the win. So one last game, and this was the game of the week. Dallas at Philadelphia. Philadelphia wins 28-3. Marquee game. Started this game out, as you saw, they traded touchdown drives. Philly, then Dak. And even from that very first drive, this was the best Dak I think I've ever seen. His passes were sharp, and he was running. Dak has not been a running threat in a year. A horrific injury, I know that. But I think he had 2 off passes the entire game. And it really would just came down to, inches. If Dak wears a size 12 instead of a size 14, maybe they're kicking a field goal instead of trying to get a touchdown. If the tight end, the Dallas tight end, just shifts the ball to his other shoulder and gets the touchdown in that 4th down. Here's what's interesting to me. I noticed a trend. Dallas went for it on 4th and short 3 different times, and every single time the play call was a pass. And I think they got them all but the one, which was the one tight end that fell short of the goal line. It was really aggressive play calling, and Dallas was executing. Pollard was running well. They were basically great until that last drive. The touchdown that got called back and the Dak 2-point conversion that got called back were one thing, but at some point I noticed the penalties were building up, and we had, I don't want to say ticky-tack, but plays that usually don't get called penalties, some defensive holds, and I felt like Dallas got lost out on a couple penalties that could have went their way as well. Back to the penalties, playing a lot of roles in here. And I think this game, Cincinnati as well, the Sunday night game, there's points in the game where it seems like 3 minutes have gone by and they're still sorting out penalties and yardage and situations there where the penalties really delay the game. This game was the same. That being said, we're going to the Philadelphia's last offensive drive. Dallas has to stop them. They're using their timeouts to do that. Philly just decides to run the ball and run this clock out. And somehow, some way, the football gods, it's 3rd and short. Jalen Hurts, shotgun, hands the ball off, and the running back runs into his own man and fumbles the ball, somehow falls on the ball. If Dallas had recovered that ball, we're talking a different story. They don't have timeouts, but they have the field position, and they would have more time. So Philly has to punt it, and this is Dallas's last drive. I've always said any game-winning drive is always aided by a bullshit roughing the passer penalty. Not only did Dallas get that penalty, the very first play, which I think they started from the 8-yard line, their own 8-yard line, pass interference, spot foul, they gain about 25 yards. Roughing the passer penalty on a 10-yard gain, which is going to tack on the 15. They get that as well. There's an encroachment penalty as well, which the refs stopped. Well, the ball wasn't snapped. They didn't even get the chance for the free play. So they had the ball on the 25. They get down due to this encroachment and the penalty. They're on the 6-yard line. They have time. Even though they had the ball in the 6, Dak takes 2 sacks on that drive, and their final play is from the 27. They run the play. We all saw it. He throws the ball about 2 yards short. I'm not sure if the plan was for that receiver to lateral it, because there was no chance of that receiver fighting off the 4 Philadelphia defenders, which, by the way, they were going to let him catch it in front of him, whether it be on the 1-yard line or the 10-yard line, and they were just going to tackle him. I don't know what the original intent of that play was, but I'm bummed out. I'm upset because this was potentially Dak's game. I feel like a foot, a penalty, something. I put the 2 sacks on him. You can't hold the ball. I mean, you can throw it away, but there's no reason to save a down in this situation. 23-28. Philadelphia. 8-1. Philadelphia. The weird thing about Philadelphia is I feel that in many of their games, I thought they were going to get beat. I thought they were entirely beatable. There's nothing they do amazing. Like you look at Philadelphia, you wouldn't say they've got the firepower of a Kansas City. They don't have the firepower. They don't have that big burner like a Tyreek Hill. But everything they do well. They're still doing the 4th and short play, and they're unstoppable at it. There's a point where Micah Parsons is trying to jump on the pile. I don't know what he thinks he's doing because now he's just on top of the pile, and he's riding the wave for the 2.5 yards that they gain. No one has figured out how to stop this push play, and I'm wondering where we go from here. I wonder if the NFL bans it as well. I have a feeling that no one has ever gotten injured doing it. But I have a feeling we are on our way to something, and I don't know what it is right now, but Philadelphia is impressive. They really, really are. And Dallas was impressive too on offense and defense. And I felt for Dak. I don't know why I have sympathy for Dak. Maybe it's the injury. Maybe it's that he is under the most scrutiny of any quarterback in the league because he's a Dallas quarterback. But today was his day. He really was sharp, and he was really a leader out there today. And like I said, I think he missed 2 balls, and that was it. He ran on his very first drive. I think he ran 3 times for 3 different first downs on that opening drive. It was impressive. I wanted it for him. I want Dallas to be in the mix. It's one of those things where the NFL is just better when Dallas is good. How they rebound from this is my next question. Dallas, Dak, solid effort. And Philadelphia, you took care of business. You really, really did. I wrote it down about Cleveland since they blow out Arizona. This was they are who we thought they are game. Every once in a while, a team who we think they should be should show up. I think Cleveland got that today, and I would be saying that if Dallas had pulled off the win as well. All right, that was all the slate of games, including a little Germany game. Woke up early, did it. It's daylight savings time, and everybody's in a bad mood. Everyone's bummed out that the day is shorter, temperatures are cooler. Ironically, football didn't have any weather games today, but everything is turning now, and so is the NFL season. You can almost mark the changing of the time with the changing of the NFL season. Because now we're in the heart of it. And now we know what teams need to make a playoff run. The trade deadline is passed. This is going to be the team for the rest of the season. These are your guys. So buckle up, settle in, because these are going to be our final plays. These are our moves. And we see what happens from here. Raiders have a new head coach. Vikings may have stumbled on a game manager for the rest of the season as well. So here we go, everybody. All right, those were the games. And now we do them every week, the awards. The awards for week 9. I have something for every single one. So let's start it off. Best quote of week 9. I mentioned the penalties. I don't know if you caught this in the Sunday night game. There was a penalty, and the official gets on the mic, and he says, offsides, number 56. And a player walks in front of him, and he goes, sorry about that. Repeat third down. Almost like he was apologizing for calling another penalty. So that's my best quote. Offsides on number 56. Sorry about that. Repeat third down. Next award, Hot Take Award. This one's really hot. I want you to go with me on this. Talked about CJ Stroud. My hot take is that in 2 years, the Dallas Cowboys will do whatever it takes to trade for CJ Stroud. I don't know what finagling, I don't know what changing of the law Jerry Jones needs to do. I don't know what campaigning he will do with the NFL to get out of contracts. But I think Dallas needs CJ Stroud. And I think Jerry Jones knows it. Dak is great, but he's in the twilight of his career. And in 1 or 2 years, we'll know. We'll know. It'll be time for Dak to go. And I think Dallas needs to get CJ Stroud. Hot take. I told you it was hot. Next award. Best innovation. I can't believe it took me this long to think of this. But my best innovation of the week is, maybe you've seen it in the end zone when they score a touchdown. You see the guy, the cameraman with like the steady cam. It's a big apparatus he's carrying. And you see him for a second on screen. And then they go to his camera and it's essentially a close-up of the player. And they can get right in the camera. Like some player today blew it a kiss. And then someone gets up in it and gives a little smile of their own. So Steadicam guy, you are my best innovation of the week. You'll provide us a new angle in which to enjoy the NFL. And then I was wondering, do they still do that camera that's on the cables that runs across the field? I feel like I haven't seen that angle in a while, or maybe they've hidden it from the side view of the field as well. I mean, how long till we get drones? Maybe drones is the next step for camera angles in the NFL. Something that we could get even closer. But for now, best innovation is the Steadicam. Next award, cringeworthy award. Now, I got 2 nominees for this. One an almost, and one definitely cringeworthy. But my almost cringeworthy, if Philadelphia had fumbled and lost that ball on that 3rd down and Dallas went in to score, that would be completely cringeworthy. It would be a la shades of the reverse fumble in the Meadowlands, in which Herm Edwards takes back that one from the 80s where the Giants fumble it. So we could have reversed the curse, or the curse could have got Philadelphia back on that fumble as well. Also, they could have just done the push play again on that one. But my cringeworthy award, which I think is going to get the award, would be Sunday night game, Joe Burrow's fingernail. They did a close-up. We got some blood on it. Anytime there's a fingernail being anywhere near removed, its actual finger, that is disgusting. And we all know what that feels like too, that horrible feeling where you feel like you physically need to press on it. And that's what they're doing with Joe Burrow. He's got the blood, the pressing on it. They even give him a hot pad for his thighs while they're doing it. So very hard to beat Joe Burrow's fingernail for the cringeworthy award. Next award, this is the best costume design. And you know what I give it to this week? Started on Thursday. The NFL sideline hoodies. I think it's Salute to Service week in the NFL, and they provide the staff with sideline gear. Some of it's hoodies, some of it's a zip-up jacket, but I thought those jackets looked really sharp. They were like a hoodie material, but it would look like a leather finish to it as well. It had a nice embroidery. No team colors, just all that leather finish and color to it. Really, really sharp. Looked good on the sidelines too. So best costume design is like those hoodies. Those Salute to Service hoodies looked really, really good. Good job on that one, NFL. Next award. This award is called Advice Alley. This one's fun because I always just get to open it up and I can pontificate. So maybe you've already guessed it. My Advice Alley for the week. Can we get rid of the taunting rule? The taunting penalty? Completely unnecessary. It does nothing to hurt the game. Give some taunting. And also, I asked the question, how do the refs know what really constitutes taunting? What if I'm being sarcastic with my taunts? What if I give the oh, great play. Oh, you really tackled me on that one. Would that be taunting? Could I be sarcastic? Could I give a compliment that is obviously an insult? Could you call me for that? NFL referees, taunting? What if I give a thumbs up? What if I give a thumbs up to someone that I am beating to the NFL, to the end zone? What if I give a thumbs up to someone as I'm running to the end zone? NFL, come on, this is not necessary. Get rid of that penalty. Next award. The Sunday double feature. All right, I mentioned the time change. I mentioned the days are shorter. It's dark, longer, and it's only going to get longer and longer because we're going into winter. So, you know what movie is predicated on it being dark out? The movie Blade. I'd want to watch that movie after all these games today. It's dark. It's really weird with the lighting too. Wesley Snipes wearing dark colors. It's one of those movies where the best scene of the movie is the opening scene, arguably. You watch that scene and you're like, can anything top this the rest of the movie? Blade's also a cool movie because when we discovered it, I don't think many of us knew that Blade was an actual comic book character. Introduced us to it. Wesley Snipes, perfect Blade character too. Days are short. It's really dark out. Put on Blade. Scare me a little bit. Give me a little scare. If you haven't seen Blade, go see it. It's streaming somewhere. I mean, everything is streaming somewhere there. That's not exactly a hot take from old Pat Ramirez. It's streaming somewhere. All right, we got one more award. This award is Who Won the Week? I'm going to give an honorable mention to Dak Prescott. I was ready for him to get this award had they won. Honorable mention for Dak. But who won the week? I got Antonio Pierce, head coach of the Las Vegas Raiders. You take over and you get the best win of the season? Tremendous. Tremendous. He won the week. But a close second is Josh Dobbs. The man comes in. He's traded. Comes in and throws the winning touchdown pass. Josh Dobbs in there too. Maybe we split the award. Antonio Pierce and Josh Dobbs. You won the week. Tremendous slate of games this week. I can't wait till next week. I want to see how Dallas rebounds. I want to see how my Raiders do too. Can we parlay this into some momentum? Can we get something going? Can the defense get charged? I saw a picture in the Raiders locker room. Josh Jacobs is hugging Antonio Pierce, and he's got the cigar. He's got the victory cigar. Maybe we can rally. The season is longer than we all remember. It's 17 weeks. Maybe we can rally. Quarterback question. What is going to happen to Jimmy G? All I know is last time we had a interim head coach, when we had hitman Rich Bisaccia, we went to the playoffs. Yeah, we did. Great win. All right, those were the games. However, there is one more game tomorrow night. That is Monday Night Football. That's right. The LA Chargers travel to the New York Jets. A lot of teams going across the country today did not play well. Rams would be a good example of this. So, Chargers going all the way to New York to play on Monday night. Sure, you beat the Bears last week. Well, by the way, two nighttime games in a row for you Chargers. It's a lot of spotlight. So, it pains me to say it. It doesn't pain me to say it. Coach Saleh, they're going to win this game. The Jets are at home winning this game. Dolphins lost. Patriots lost. The Jets can be primed to get in this mix. I think they're 2 games out. It's possible. Coach Saleh can put something together. I think he grew a beard and then shaved it off. So, Jets over the Chargers. Monday night, you heard it here. What a week, everyone. We're going into the end of week 9. It's the fall season, starting to look like winter, starting to feel like winter. It's dark out. That's my Monday night prediction. Book it. Jets over the Chargers. So, where do you stand? It's week 9. Where is your team? Are you in the NFL high class? Are you in the NFL middle class? Or are you in the dungeon? Is your NFL team on welfare? A lot of them are. But I'm seeing bright spots. I want to know what happens with Houston. I want to know where they go. I want to know how Dallas bounces back. And can Philly maintain this? I've said they're beatable for the last 6 weeks, and they keep winning. And lastly, Antonio Pierce. Great job, Antonio Pierce. You won us the best win of the season. That's it, everybody. That was week 9 in the NFL. Like I said, it was a solo show this week, but it could be no better week to have a solo show because the Raiders won, and I have some good stuff coming up on the channel soon, so pay attention to that. So for me, Patrick Ramirez, this was the Sunday Night Talk for the NFL for week 9. Thanks for listening, everybody. I will see you next time. All right, that is it. That is the show. That is the Sunday Night Talk for week 9 in the NFL. That was me flying solo. All right, maybe I hit a few bumpy patches of air, but hey, we got the plane off the ground. We landed it. It was a great week to be solo because the Raiders won. Don't forget, if you're new to the channel, I know some people are because we picked up some new subscribers this week. Welcome, everyone. But if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. It helps me, and all my stuff is there. My stand-up comedy, my movie series of pods is there, not to mention the Sunday Night Talk. My interview series is all up there as well. Everything me is up there, so go check it out. Stand-up comedy shows coming up, so be on the lookout for that. All right, Monday night is the last game of week 9. How are you feeling? Because the season is officially turning. Try and stay positive. Try and see the good that is the changing season. Listen, we can't have it summer all year long. Things got to change a little bit. Teams got to score touchdowns, but they also score field goals. And sometimes you get a new head coach as an interim, and you win a great victory against the Giants. All right, that's it. Week 9. For me, Patrick Ramirez, I want to thank you for listening, and I will see you next week.